Namaste. Good afternoon. This live was to be done this afternoon, but I couldn't do it. So, good evening. Uh, and yes, it took me around a week to come up with another book review. Uh, by the way, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, I am Dr. Aparna, um, an Ayurvedic psychotherapist. I am your emotional healing synergist, a passionate Ayurveda and psychotherapy infopreneur, medical writer, and a budding YouTuber. In my pursuit to address, promote, and propagate Ayurveda and psychotherapy globally, I come up with discussions every week or talk throughs on either Ayurveda, mental health, psychotherapy, and related aspects. So, this week's subject is a book review. These book reviews, I do these book reviews as a sign to of emotional metamorphosis. That means transforming ourselves, oneself emotionally. So one of the ways is reading books. So I do book synopsises, that means full book summaries and reviews of mental health, psychotherapy, and self-help books in the mental health category. So today I'm going to do the book synopsis of the book named The Courage to Be Disliked. So I was actually I heard this book about this book about a year ago, but I couldn't read it. But the last week, the entire week, I was reading this book, and it took me a week to come up with, because this book is actually based on, um, this book is the Japanese phenomenon that shows you how to change your life and achieve real happiness. So, this book is written by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. So, if there is any pronunciation mistakes, I do apologize. So, this book is based on Adlerian philosophy. So this book, contradicts some of the fundamental, philosophy or the psychology what we read, what I have read at least during my psychology post graduation. So Adlerian philosophy is named after Alfred Adler. So this Adlerian psychology and philosophy, this is also called as Adlerian psychology. This book is based on the teachings and theories of Alfred Adler. So he's an Austrian psychiatrist and psychologist. So these philosophies focus on understanding human behavior, personality development, and the individual's unique pursuit of significance and belonging within the society. But there is a twist. Adlerian psychology is a therapeutic approach that emphasizes on understanding an individual within their social context. It aims to empower and encourage personal responsibility, social interest, and holistic growth. So what do we what is the author's idea? If I have to give you a brief idea, what is this book is actually a dialogue between a young man who is unhappy with his life and a wise philosopher. here the philosopher teaches the teachings of Adlerian philosophy. So this book is on an intense debate over the 5 nights. The young man and the philosopher discuss many of the concepts. So the concepts are, like, if I have to be brief, first thing is, it says your past doesn't dictate your future. That means our past does not determine our future. Past, whatever has happened in our past, doesn't not dictate how we behave in future. So, and I we will discuss about it in detail. So the second point is to gain personal freedom. So the philosopher explains here is, to gain personal freedom you must take responsibility for your life tasks. This book is basically a question answer type of, the is in basically in the form of a question and an answer. So the author, the young man asks questions to the philosopher, and the philosopher answers, and the philosophy used here is Adlerian philosophy. So here the second point is, as I said, for, in order to achieve personal freedom, the philosopher says you must take responsibility for your life tasks and let go of the need for external validation. So we have to, in order to achieve personal freedom, or to say emotional freedom, a person must take responsibility for their life tasks, and should let go of the need for external validation. So all problems, and the third point is, very interesting and very debatable concept. So the philosopher here says that all problems come from interpersonal relationships. So here it is said that you must improve your relationships to improve your life. So we will discuss this in detail. So the fourth point is, the goal of relationships is to gain a sense of belonging, and you can only achieve this by contributing actively to your community. So the next point says, live earnestly in the present moment to enjoy a fulfilling life. Do not let the past dictate your future. Do not worry about your past. Do not worry about your future. It says that live earnestly in the present moment to enjoy a fulfilling life. To here on, it might feel that these concepts are known, but here when we go into, when I read the book, and it is very deep, and the concepts are, we have I have read in the psychology, are contrary to the Adlerian philosophy. So we'll see how. But this book, The Courage to Be Disliked, is deeply rooted, as I said, in our Adlerian philosophy and psychology. See, the book is a dialogue between the philosopher and the young man. So what do we learn? The two things is, first thing, responsibility and choice. So this book emphasizes taking responsibility for one's choices. So we should not blame others for the, for our choices in life and life circumstances. This is the core aspect of Adlerian philosophy, that we should take responsibility of our own life and our choices we make in life. So it encourages, us readers to understand that they have the power to choose their responses to life's challenges. See, we cannot choose and change the challenges of our lives, but we can definitely choose to respond, choose how we respond to the life challenges. So this is also the reflecting, Adler's belief in personal agency. So this also is reflecting, Adler's philosophy. So the next thing is, this book talks about social interest and relationships. So Adlerian philosophy focuses on, social interest and fostering healthy relationships. So this book, as Adlerian philosophy, focuses on, a social interest, and we have to have healthy relationships around, you know it advocates something called horizontal relationships. That means horizontal, we'll talk about horizontal relationships and vertical relationships. So this book advocates for horizontal relationships. That means horizontal relationships are based on mutual respect, collaboration, empathy, aligning with, Adler's emphasis on social connectedness and contribution to the society. So here, next is, for example, so examples of, if I have to talk about Adlerian philosophy. So there's something called birth order influence. So in a family of three children, if a family has three children, the eldest may exhibit leadership qualities due to being accustomed to responsibility. If the eldest child, if he or she is, always given the, is adapted to the responsibility, then that eldest child will develop, leadership qualities, while the youngest may seek attention or be more socially outgoing, influenced by receiving less attention growing up. So the youngest child may be an attention seeker. This is called birth order influence. That means how, the birth order influences the person we become. So this is what, Adlerian philosophy, example one example of Adlerian philosophy, that how birth order, also first child, second child, and third child, may be different from each other. One may develop leadership qualities, one may be socially outgoing and attention seeking, because the last child will receive more, attention growing up, and the first child will have to take up the responsibility, is adapted to taking up the responsibility. So something like this it talks about Adlerian philosophy. So the next example is social interest in personal growth. That means, see, an individual who volunteers regularly at a social shelter not only helps others but also experiences personal growth. So if a person, volunteers to a non-government organization, NGO, which is called local shelter by the author, it not only helps others, but it also helps him or her, to experience personal growth. Their social interest drives them to contribute positively to society. So what happens is, this, fosters, or this develops a sense of significance and belonging. So how the social interest also can frame into the personal growth. This is also one of the concepts of Adlerian philosophy. So this is just an example. So if we come to this book, what are the, what did I feel, what did I learn, from the book, like key lessons, whatever. You can, if you have also read the book, you can also mention whatever lessons you have learned in the comment section, if you have any special key takeaways. So I'm gonna talk about at least seven key lessons what I have learned from the book The Courage to Be Disliked. So we'll talk about the example scenarios, practical examples as well. So first thing is the separation of task. So what is this? The separation of task in the book is, see, focus on this, in the book we'll come to the chapter wise discussion, that is 5 nights, the discussion through all the 5 nights in detail in the session. But this, what I'm talking about, is my key takeaways or highlights, whatever I learned from this book. See, focus on what you can control. See, the author says, the philosopher here says to young man that we can only focus on what we can control. That means actions, choices, and responses. We cannot control, external circumstances. We cannot control the challenges which are thrown to us. We can only control our actions, we can only control our choices, and we can only control our responses. That means lesson number one is focus on what you can control. That could be your actions, your choices, your responses, rather than trying to control others or external circumstances. So the first example they talk about is work environment. So if, for example, if I have to explain this, if in a work environment, first we'll take it professionally. So in a team project, so what happens is you are given and you are an in charge in a team project. One team member consistently arrives late for meetings, affecting everyone's progress. So instead of blaming or pressuring them, focus on your own contributions. So in a team project, you know if one person is arriving late for meetings, then what can I do or you do is, instead of blaming or pressuring them, we have to first focus on our own contributions. So this also might mean that we have to lead by example. So we cannot blame the entire thing on that person, because the project didn't work because this person always comes late for meetings. We have to see that we are so many people, we are others also in this project, and we have to focus on our own contributions. First, lead by example. That means we have to maintain open communication. We can let that person know about that and adapt your approach to ensure the project success. So instead of the blame game, we can see it, the approach could be project success approach. So what all can be done to do the team project to achieve project success. So likewise, if it is in the personal scenario, that is in the family dynamics, so you have a family member who constantly criticizes your decisions. For example, instead of changing to, trying to change their behavior, focus on how you respond. See, you, I, and everyone here, in one point or the other, have some relative or a family member who constantly criticizes your decisions. So instead of trying to change their behavior, we always have to focus on how we respond. That means setting boundaries calmly, expressing the your perspective respectfully, and choose not to internalize their criticism is, don't take everything personally. And what happens is we also have to set boundaries, calmly express our perspective respectfully, but without being aggressive, and without taking everything, to the person, because just because they criticize, that doesn't mean that your decisions are always wrong. You don't have to take it personally, or you don't have to doubt your decisions. That is, do not internalize their criticism. Next is, the second point is this is what the separation of task. That means focus on, first thing is focus on what one can control, that is just actions, choices and responses, rather than trying to control others or external circumstances. The second thing is courage to choose your life. The second lesson I learned was taking responsibility for your choices and life circumstances empowers you to create change and pursue personal fulfillment. Always take responsibility and accountability for the choices you make and the life you choose to live. So don't blame the circumstances. What happens is this empowers you to create change and pursue personal fulfillment. So for example, how this would help in career. So suppose you are unhappy in your current job. If and instead of blaming the external factors, that this is not working, that is not working, my boss is not good, so take ownership of your career satisfaction. So what you have to do is you have to develop a plan, and then you have to acquire necessary skills maybe, and actively seek opportunities that align with your passions and goals. So you can look for career changes if you need to, if you think that career change is the only option. Or you can also see that you can also find a solution within your job within your current job. You can develop a plan and you can act accordingly, and you can also, either you can opt for career change, or either you can, make changes to sustain that job. So here the one thing is, do not, we have to take complete responsibility of our may it be professional life, may it be personal life. So instead of blaming external factors, the author says that take or choose to take ownership of your career satisfaction in this case. So if we take a personal scenario, that means a relationship dynamics. So if a relationship is strained, in a strained relationship, instead of waiting for the other person to change, this person will change today, this person will change tomorrow, you know you have to take, responsibility for your contribution to the relationship. And just take, responsibility and accountability of what you can contribute, or from your end. So maybe it may be initiating open conversations, seeking counseling if needed, and actively working on improving communication and understanding. So there is a quote, in Ayurveda as well: the nature of the person cannot be changed. See, mindset can be changed, habits can be changed, but the nature of the person, the core nature of the person, can never be changed. So even in a strained relationship, even if you are tired in that relationship, and you always think that this person will change after this person will change after this, शादी के बाद बदल जाएगा या बदल जाएगी, बच्चे के बाद बदल जाएगा बदल जाएगी, that would may not happen. So you have to take responsibility. Either you have to choose to be in the relationship, or you do not, you choose to walk out of the relationship. Before choosing to walk out, you have to, see take responsibility of your contribution to the relationship. That means initiating open conversations, seeking counseling, whatever it is, and actively working on improving communication and understanding, working on the relationship. If it doesn't work, you have to take responsibility of walking out of the relationship as well. So the third lesson in this book is living in the present, which I learned. Maybe people might have different learnings, but this is these seven things are what I found useful. So living in the present. So, the importance of living in the present moment. This book talks about the importance of living in the present moment, free from the burdens of the past. We are always carrying the burdens of the past. In the past, that happened, in the past, that this happened, or excessive concerns about the future. This book talks says that don't carry the burdens of the past, and do not carry the excessive concerns about the future. So this book talks about importance of living in the present moment. So for example, if you are in a social gathering, so while at a party, suppose imagine you are at a party and you find yourself worrying about an upcoming deadline. So practice, you are in a party and you are not enjoying the party or the social gathering, and you are worrying about the upcoming deadline. So what this book talks about is practice being present by engaging in conversations, enjoying the moment, and consciously redirecting your thoughts to the present gathering. So the next example here is personal growth. So instead of dwelling, or instead of cripping about on your past failures or missed opportunities, array, I got this opportunity, I missed this opportunity, I failed on this. Instead of dwelling, that means cripping on your past failures or missed opportunities, this book talks about focusing on the present. So setting new goals, learning from the past experiences, and taking active steps toward personal growth and improvement without being hindered by past setbacks. So we can always set new goals, we can always learn from the past experiences, and we can always take active steps towards personal growth and improvement without being hindered by the past setbacks. So the fourth point this book talks about is freedom from the past. So free, what does freedom from the past is? See, the lesson here is acknowledging that one's past experiences do not dictate their future, and embracing the freedom to change and grow. For example, if I failed in being an entrepreneur in the past, it does not mean that I will fail as an entrepreneur in the future. So what happens if I think like that, and that will hinder the freedom to change and my freedom to change and grow. So what happens is, past only we get experience, we can learn from our past experiences, but that does not, does any nowhere it does dictate our future. So, for example, here, healing from trauma. So, someone who has experienced a traumatic event in the past, so that person seeks therapy. So, what should be actually done is, the person, usually what happens is, he or she holds on to that traumatic experience. So, what that person should do, try all everything to come out of that experience, because that trauma, instead of letting the trauma define their future, they actively should engage in therapy or practice self-care and gradually work towards healing and resilience. So we should not use our, the author says, see, author also says that we should not use trauma as an excuse to not to improve. So you have to let go, instead of that trauma let the trauma letting define your future. Seek in therapy, practice self care, do whatever you can to come out to heal from the trauma. And second example here is make maybe breaking habits. So a person wants to break a habit that has been detrimental to their well-being. So instead of feeling trapped by past behaviors, they have to adopt new strategies, seek support. Maybe that person is a nicotine addict person, maybe smoking. He or she wants to break that habit because that is very much detrimental to their well-being. अभी यहाँ तक आ गई, गले तक आ गई ये बात. So instead of feeling trapped by the past behaviors, they have to adopt new strategies, seek support groups or therapy, and commit to positive changes for a healthier lifestyle. So, this is the freedom from the past. So, the fifth point is social interest and community feeling. So, this book also talks about social interest and community feeling. So recognizing the value of social connections and contributing positively to the society. What happens is, as I said, contributing positively to the society also helps in fostering self growth and one's own well-being. So, for example, community involvement here. Instead of feeling isolated, actively participate in community events, volunteer work, or local organizations to foster a sense of belonging and contribute to the community's well being. So, instead of if you feel isolated, so what you can do is actively participate in community events or volunteer work or local organization, to develop a sense of belonging and contribute to the community's well-being. It also helps you for your personal growth and improvement. So the next thing is building relationship. Here also the author talks about, instead of solely focusing on personal gain, prioritizing empathy and understanding in relationships, practice active listening, offer support to friends in need, and contribute positively to nurturing meaningful connections. So we have to in relationships as well, prioritize empathy. That means understand others emotions and feelings as well. And empathy and understanding, so and active listening, offering support to friends in need, and contribute however you can contribute positively to nurture meaningful connections. So this is also an example. So the next lesson I learned here is sixth one is courage to be yourself. That means embracing authenticity. This is very, very, very important. And being true to oneself despite societal pressures or expectations. So courage to be yourself. So here, for example, career choices, instead of you to instead of pleasing others in pursuing a career, follow your passion and your values. Make career decisions aligned with your interests, your skills and personal fulfillment rather than the societal expectations. So instead of you pursuing a career to please others, follow your passion and values. So You have to make career decision aligned with your interests, your passions, your skills, and your personal fulfillment, rather than the societal expectations. So the next thing is expressing opinions. So instead of, conforming to others beliefs, express your opinions respectfully. So you do not have to, conform or be restricted to others beliefs. You can express your beliefs, opinions respectfully. So engage in constructive discussions, share your thoughts, and stand by your values without fear of judgment. So we should always do this without the fear of judgment. At the end, this book is called The Courage to Be Disliked, is you have to lose the fear of judgment, or the fear of not getting the external validation. So here I said trauma as an excuse. So what does that mean? That means author says that there is no actual trauma. It is only perception. That means according to Adler, there is no such thing called as trauma. That means painful experiences in the past cannot dictate your attitudes or actions unless you allow to do them so. Here the author says that unless we choose to, dictate our attitudes and actions according to the painful experiences, they actually, is not there. So the world is simple. So the authors, Adler believes that the world is simple, but it only seems complex because of our subjective perspectives. That means the same thing can, or event can be perceived differently by different people. Imagine if something same happens to 3 4 different people, but the way the 3 4 different people will perceive it will be totally different. For a person, the for a person the may for example, there is a huge power cut. So for one person it may be a huge deal, for other person it is nothing. So for the third person, it is only when it comes to the productive thing the power could matter. This is just an example. That means one scenario or one situation for different people it is different. They act differently because they choose to do so. So the author says that we are not defined by our experiences, but by the meaning we give to those experiences. So what happened in the past matters less than how we interpret and respond to those events. So more important is how we interpret the past events, and how we respond to it, rather than what happened. So that's the difference between a etiology versus teleology. Okay, we'll also talk about it. Next, we'll also talk about etiology and teleology in some other session, because this is not in the book, but this is a Alderian, Adlerian philosophy concept. So here trauma here, Adlerian psychology challenges the notion that past traumas inherently dictate one's present choices or behavior. It encourages, it challenges, this is the challenge, because to contrary, other psychologists say that the past traumas dictate one's present choices and behaviors, but the Adlerian psychology challenges that notion, that the past traumas inherently dictate one's present choices or behaviors. Instead, it encourages individuals to take responsibility for their responses and choices despite past hardship. It is how you choose to respond, how you choose to take action. So if I have to talk about past as a trauma, see, relationship dynamics, a person, if consistently reacts aggressively or is withdrawn in social situations due to past experiences of bullying or abuse. So what happens is, suppose for example, one person is, in the past, bullied and abused. So as a result, a person consistently reacts aggressively and withdrawn from the social situations. He like to be isolated. He does not participate in social gatherings. So here, Adlerian psychology argues, against using past trauma as a justification for present behavior. That means, while acknowledging the impact of trauma, the focus is on empowering the individual to take responsibility for their actions and seek healthier ways to navigate social interactions. So here, Adlerian philosophy is contrary. That means it focuses on empowering the individual to take responsibility for their actions. Even though you are bullied or abused in the past, that should not dictate your present and that should not dictate your future. So, and seek healthier, you have to take responsibility for your reactions and seek healthier ways to navigate social interactions. This is what Adlerian psychology is about. So same way in career and ambition, if suppose someone faced setback in their career due to past failures or negative experiences, instead of allowing past failures to hinder progress, Adlerian psychology encourages, acknowledging the impact of these experiences and, um, while emphasizing personal, agency and the courage to pursue new opportunities. Instead of, sitting and allowing past failures to hinder our progress, we have to make a plan and we have to pursue new opportunities despite past setbacks. So the same in, if we take an example of personal growth and relationships. So a person avoids here, intimate relationships due to a past heartbreak or betrayal. If someone has, suffered a past, betrayal in a past relationship, so completely avoiding, any romantic relationships. So here the explanation in the Adlerian psychology is that while past emotional wounds may impact trust, you should take the lesson. It encourages acknowledging these experiences without letting them become an excuse to avoid future relationship. We use that to, as an excuse to avoid future relationship is not okay. It focuses on taking responsibility for one's emotional healing and openness to new connections. So this is what trauma as an excuse should be avoided is what this book talks about. And the seventh thing we learn here in the book is mainly is vertical and horizontal relationship. This is the main thing. That means, what is a vertical, what is a horizontal relationship, we'll talk about it. So understanding the dynamics of power in relationships and fostering mutual respect. So, vertical relationship is a hierarchical relationship. That means, for example, instead of emphasizing hierarchical structures, so, manager, senior manager, so instead of having, you should have that hierarchy. But when it comes to open communication and collaboration, everyone should be able to communicate and collaborate among the team members instead of emphasizing on vertical hierarchy. Vertical is, you have a hierarchy, but horizontal is not like that. Horizontal means you, everybody has a mutual respect for everyone. So, and Collaboration among team members. What happens is this fosters an environment where ideas are valued regardless of position within the organization. So usually ideas are not valued, stating that you are not you are not in that position. You have to have that hierarchy to express your ideas, and your ideas to be valued. So it should not be done. And second example here is, instead of enforcing authority, promote mutual respect. The husband enforcing authority that I am the man of this house. Instead of that, if we promote, instead of that vertical relationship, in promoting mutual respect among family members, encouraging open dialogues, listening to each other's perspectives, and make decisions collectively. So, considering everybody's input. So, if we have to understand, horizontal and vertical relationships. So, horizontal and vertical relationships describe the dynamics of power and interaction in human relationships. That means horizontal relationships always emphasize equality. Horizontal is like this. So, equality, mutual respect, and collaboration. So, vertical relationships, always involve power imbalances, authority, and dominance. So, for example, in a parent child relationship, a parent who dictates their child's life choices without considering the child's desires, that could be a vertical relationship. So, this represents a vertical relationships where power dynamics heavily favor the parent. So Adlerian psychology encourages a shift towards, horizontal relationships where the parent respects the child's autonomy, fosters open communication, and collaborates on decisions. So the next example could be workplace dynamics. So a corporate environment with rigid hierarchies and limited communication between management and employees. That means Adlerian psychology suggests promoting more horizontal relationships in the workplace. In a corporate environment, we know we have very rigid hierarchies, and we have only limited access to communication between the management and the employees. So here Adlerian psychology suggests promoting more horizontal relationships in the workplace. So, this involves encouraging open dialogue, valuing input from all levels, and fostering an environment where ideas flow freely regardless of hierarchical positions. This is what we have to achieve in the end. So these are the examples, like the concepts are explored, to encourage all of us to take responsibility of our choices, move beyond past traumas, and foster healthier, more egalitarian relationships by understanding and adjusting power dynamics in various life domains. So these are the seven lessons, what the key lessons what I've learned from the book. We will discuss in detail what are the discussions that went through all the five nights, five nights, and in the book. And I'll meet you in the next session with a detailed discussion. Thank you and namaste.